Okay. All right. Thanks for joining us for our House of Worship treasure hunt meeting. Today we are going to hear from two great speakers, Chris from Sapient and Alan from Performance Engineering. Chris and Alan, in case you don't know, we work with about 6 to 7 houses of worship each year individually, because we have like 20 in our Detroit 2030 district. But we take about 6 of them and we take them through a process where every month we have a different guest speaker to talk about a different topic located within a treasure hunt for congregations. It's from the EPA, and it's different ways you can save energy and water and whatnot throughout your building. And you kind of just do a little check mark of all the different activities that you're working on. In our program, we've expanded a little bit outside of the energy and the water, and we do next month, I think we're going to be covering recycling and a few other important topics. But glad that you guys are here today. Sapient Chris is going to talk about plug load, and Alan's going to talk about HVAC, which is always popular. Just a quick update on Detroit 2030 district. So we currently we are the 4th largest district out of 23 districts in North America. We have 3 in Michigan, Grand Rapids, Ann Arbor, and Detroit. And we currently have about 480 buildings in our program. So most of our programming is virtual due to the COVID, and we have about 3 to 4 in-person planned this year. So we had our January kickoff meeting. And this is for all members, right? This is just House of Worship, but this is for all of our members. We have the Detroit Energy Challenge breakfast in June again this year, which I know we have at least one House of Worship that entered, and this is any of our houses of worship that are on our call today that are in our program have assistance to help them start an Energy Star Portfolio Manager account, help them sign up for the DTE Hub. We pretty much help them through the whole process. So if you're not signed up for that yet, please let us know, because once you're in to the DTE Hub, it's really easy to enter the Detroit Energy Challenge competition, which obviously is the biggest loser for energy consumption. This would be 21 to 22. And like I said, we do have a House of Worship that landed at the top, even just going, not the very top, but within, I think, the top 5 or 6 reductions. So it's really important to participate and get involved. And so I hope that we have an award for one of you guys this year. So I hope everybody can make that. As a member, it's $30 to attend, and you get a full breakfast. So it's a pretty good deal. So we hope to see you in June. Jennifer, do you have any quick updates on anything? And then we can get into the presentations.
I think you covered it.
I covered it. Okay. All right. Then we're going to go ahead and let Chris share his screen, and we can get started with his presentation.
Great, thank you for that.
Sure.
Is everybody able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, great. So what we're going to talk about today, so Sapient, is we're focused on helping organizations to reduce their energy use, and we do that by helping them to identify and target the waste that happens in every facility, right? So as an example, right, the Department of Energy and Energy Star have shared that the average building in North America wastes 30% of the energy that it consumes. And the reason that that's happening is not because of ill intent. It's just that we don't have the ability to see what is happening, with every piece of equipment in our facilities. And so we don't know where to focus our attention. And so what Sapient is all about is how do we crack the nut of uncovering all this hidden waste that's happening in a facility. And we do that by deploying, by a combination of one, we deploy electric metering into a subscribed building. So we actually look at every piece of equipment that is in a facility, and we're capturing the electric usage data in real time, and capturing all that data in our cloud-based software platform. And with that platform, we are then able to allow you to pinpoint, where energy is being used in all of my facilities, when it is being used, and what equipment is using that energy. With that information, and then you're providing a number of analytics behind that, we're able to drive 5 real key benefits, for our customers. One is reduce electric usage, right? Now that you have this visibility, you can target with laser precision, where I have unnecessary usage happening. And so that can drive as much as, our customers are seeing, routinely 10, 15, 20% reductions in energy use as a result of deploying our solution. We talk about peak demand. Many utilities, they charge, also the peak rate that you use electricity in a month, right? So we help our customers solve for that problem. Another important value driver is equipment health. I'm not going to talk about this because Alan's going to spend a lot of time on HVAC, but just recognize that because we see how each piece of equipment is operating in real time, we establish that digital fingerprint of every piece of equipment. And so when the equipment starts to fail, we give you that early warning. So you can take action earlier before that maintenance expense becomes really costly, and also wasting a lot of energy. And then, there's also the sustainability aspects, because the greenest kilowatt hour is the one that you never use, right? And so there's certainly some sustainability benefits that come from the efficiency as well. So there's a lot of information on this slide. I apologize, but just kind of give you a sense for what does a deployment look like with our technology. So we would install metering into each electrical panel on a facility. We also have the ability to capture the electric usage in real time for the entire building. So not only we look at each individual piece of equipment, we can look at the building in its entirety. And for certain customers, we also have the ability to deploy plug load, deploy smart plug, smart strips. So you can actually even look at the individual plugged in equipment. And so with that information, you now can see when is my HVAC on and off, and how efficiently is it operating. I can look at the lighting. I can look at all the things that are happening within my facility. And this is particularly important within your types of facilities where you have intermittent occupancy. Right, your occupancy it kind of fluctuates by day, by day of the week and time of day and those types of things. And we have a lot of experience with helping our customers to be able to deal with those types of issues, right? Whether it be, some common examples that where we've seen, even more, interesting operating schedules. We have NBA arenas and NFL stadiums, right, as customers. And you think about just they go from a couple, like a few, maybe 100 people in the facility to 20,000 or 50,000 people in the building, and then back down to zero, right, in short order. And we've got universities, we've got colleges, all those types of things that government buildings, as well as so there's a number of situations where these schedules are all over the place. And the challenge is, how do I make sure that I am tuning my energy usage to when I actually have people in the building? And that's really what Sapient is going to be focused on, helping our customers solve for that. What does it look like physically? All you'll see is on your electrical panels, you'll just see this little device on the outside. This is a little wireless transmitter, and that's the only thing that you'll see from a hardware perspective. But what you'll now have is visibility into the electric usage for every single circuit in every one of these panels that you have in a building. We pair that up with, here's what a building meter would look like. So again, not only we look at the individual loads, you can see what the entire building is doing. And what does the reporting look like? Reporting comes in a lot of different ways. So we have, how do I identify low cost, no cost efficiency opportunities, right? So our data will point you to specific actions you can take around that. As well as reducing my peak demand rate, because in many, I can't remember what it is for Detroit Edison as far as what the peak demand charges are, but in many utilities, they do have, upwards of 20 or 30 or $50 per kW of demand, right? So that can have a meaningful cost implication for you as well. And then for those of you who also are focused on sustainability, we actually will give you a lot of reporting as it relates to carbon emissions, again, in real time. So if you're saying, if I'm looking to get to you're reducing my carbon emissions, our technology will allow you to be laser focused on where we have those carbon reduction opportunities in our facility. I mentioned earlier around equipment health. So we actually have what is called anomaly detection. So because of the fact that we're looking at the electric usage for every piece of equipment in real time, as soon as we see a shift in that, how that piece of equipment, that HVAC unit, that fan, right, that whatever motor it might be, we actually will give you that early warning indication that this thing is misbehaving, and allows you to take action when, frankly, the maintenance costs for dealing with those things will be substantially lower than having to replace something. So we'll give you those types of early warning indications as well. So, and then finally, any efficiency measures you might take, you also have the ability to make sure, how do I verify that I'm getting the results I was looking for, and to make sure that I keep those hard-won savings that I've actually captured. So our data and our reporting allow you, to continually see, as I get savings, how do I make sure that I don't lose them at some point in the future because of whether human intervention or whatever action might take that would cause you to lose some of those savings there. And not only do you get technology, we actually are going to provide you access with two important teams. One is our customer success team. They're your day-to-day contact to make sure that you're able to get the full use of the solution as it's deployed. We also have a building science team. They actually act as an energy consultant for subscribed buildings. So we'll actually give you these people are energy experts, and so they actually are mining the data and coming to you with real life recommendations based on what the data that we're capturing from your buildings in real time, and how can we maximize our efficiency opportunity and lower our energy costs. So I'm going to go ahead and pause there. Hopefully, you feel free to reach out now or in the future as far as any questions you might have, and looking forward to seeing everybody continue your journeys as you look at how do we be better stewards of our planet and lowering your costs for your energy profile there. So with that, I'll go ahead and stop sharing, and I'll yield the floor. Oh. You're on mute there, Connie, I think.
Okay. So I just wanted to, you said that you work with all building automation programs, correct?
Yeah, so our technology does not need to connect to a building control system in order to do its work.
Oh, okay.
So we operate in parallel. So we really don't, it's not an issue as far as any building automation system. We play very nicely with any building automation system. In fact, most of the facilities that we're deployed in already have a building automation system in place.
Okay, great.
Chris, I just had a question. What's the approximate square footage of a house of worship facility that would kind of pencil out as far as using a building automation system in your best guess?
So, I would say that if typically a building automation system is really not going to make sense. If you're under 50,000 square feet, I would hazard a guess smart thermostats are going to be more than adequate. If you just have just good programming on smart thermostats, that would be fine, I think. And frankly, you can make smart thermostats work even in a larger facility as well. But the key is you have to make sure that what you want to have effective scheduling, because we all know, right, that, those usages throughout facility, right, you guys have a lot of different things that are happening in those spaces, right? So the key is whether you have a building automation system or whether you use smart thermostats, the key is just make sure you have good scheduling. And I would hazard a guess that what I see in a lot of houses of worship is smart thermostats are frankly the more effective tool, because when you do a building automation system, you're going to require someone who's an expert in configuring those things. And that can be a little bit, they can be more of a headache to operate in a lot of cases than they're worth there. So just
Okay.
a couple of thoughts on that front.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions or comments? All right, great. Well, feel free to reach out. Connie's got all my contact information here, and wish everybody continued success as you continue on this journey around energy and sustainability here.
Thank you very much. Very interesting.
Thanks all.
Thanks, Chris. Hey, Jennifer, I've lost my connection, so I'm still on the phone though. I'm assuming everybody can still see everything.
Yes. But we can't see your
Okay,
screen
good.
anymore.
Yeah, I'm not there. I've lost the
No, that's
internet.
fine. If Alan's gonna share his screen anyway, I would assume.
Great, that's right. And I'll keep trying to log in back in. So,
Yeah.
all right, thanks.
No, we had it sharing here earlier, so let's try this again.
Is it allowing you to share your screen or no?
Not asking me to yet, no. So
I did already do that, but hang on one quick second. I'm wondering if it stopped because I stopped.
It
you know,
says,
having
Alan,
the
it says
internet.
you're the host.
oh wow.
Yeah.
To be able to.
Share screen.
I'm logging back in anyway, so let's see if that makes a difference.
Got it?
Hey, there we go.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. It's good to see some folks that I haven't seen in a while or talked to in a while. And it's been a journey for the last couple of years for sure with all the things that have happened. But we're still here, we're still doing our thing, and we're still doing a lot of work in this space. And it's interesting times for a lot of houses of worship. I know from my own church, we've experienced decline. We sustained ourselves going through COVID by getting better at a telecast type approach, live streaming. And so much so that we see people that like to go to that version versus the in-person. And at the end of the day, it's different, but I still like to be in person when I can. So I've seen some successes with that, and I've seen some losses, and I'm trying to get better at doing something virtually that means as meaningful of impact as you can when you're in person. So we're working on that, trying to refine it. And just got some updates on some houses of worship case studies that we worked on here recently. And we're continuing to add to that. So by all means, we know the pain that's been going on with people falling away from attending regular worship. We've seen the numbers nationally that say there's been a decline, and that makes for even more pain when you have a building that's oversized and using more energy than you want to pay for, and you're not reaching as many people as effectively as you might be able to. So you're looking for solutions, and that's kind of what we try to help people with, is get them to a solution that makes sense for them. When we look at, if I can advance the slides here. Not let me want to advance the slides, but let's see. Let's see. There we go.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. There we go. First question I always ask, there's a lot of very, very old churches. We do a lot of work in that space, and some of them approaching or beyond 100 years of age. And that's a testament to, the structure that you're in, the kind of construction you had, and the people that believe in attending and helping you to maintain that. As I said earlier, the population we're hearing broadly is decreasing and not increasing, just because there's so many ways to get fed with your mission and your message. So it seems to be a challenging time because you've got older buildings and you have a decreasing population. You might have a lightly used areas of your building. We see a lot of buildings that are being repurposed that were churches or houses of worship and turning into something else, anything from restaurants to bars to, you know, multi-tenant spaces. So it's kind of disheartening on the side of the mission, but it's also great to see a building extend its life based on a reinvention of what it might be. So these are questions I can't really get feedback from you on, but things that are on my mind, and I'm sure they're on your minds. If you got areas that are lightly used in your building, you probably are looking for ways to repurpose it. And we've seen people adding daycare, doing a resale shop, sharing space with people that are budding food entrepreneurs. They need a commercial kitchen to work at. We've seen that spectrum, and it's a great way to offset some of your costs or help other people get a start with their mission. So co-sharing is a really good idea if you have areas that aren't being fully utilized. And like my own church, we're dealing with reserves shrinking because of the declining population, and you have capital projects that need to get funded. So if you have a reserve, you have a capital funds project, that's a good thing. If you don't, trying to establish one can take a little bit of effort, but it's a way of socking away some resources so that you can get prepared for those events that are going to happen in the life of the building. Things that need to be replaced need to be upgraded, or things that need to be repaired, like roofs and windows that are very expensive, but generally long-term payback and long-term durability. So what we see typically here in Metro Detroit are large building footprints, some that are over hundreds of thousands of square feet, and anything from 10,000 or 2,000 all the way up. I'm always amazed when I see a really ornate church that's been abandoned, and across the street there's a little startup church that is now working out of a grocery store or a gas station or something else, because either it's not the same church or it's just a sign of the times that we're not taking the same approach anymore. So you have what might look like a big utility bill, especially with the impact of energy prices going up and down because of not so much down, but mostly up with the events over in Europe and the COVID costs and the other things. So we're seeing a lot higher costs. Consumption may be low because you're not utilizing your building as fully as you used to be. And that lightly occupied building still has a carrying cost that you have to deal with. And we see a tremendous number of facilities with original HVAC equipment, which is a testament to their creativity to keep it running or to find people that can service it. But eventually things do have to be replaced. And that gets to be a big conundrum, because sometimes those are very expensive replacements because of the conditions or the size or both. And this morning I had the opportunity to be with a school district that we had gotten engaged to about 6 years ago to help them with such a project, where they had 50 something buildings and hundreds of boilers that they needed to update. And they didn't want to put it into a bond issue because they felt that they needed something as a different solution. This is kind of how we approach a lot of the stuff in the faith-based community as well. We look at what you have, we look at what you're using, and we look at what your utility bills or your BMS data will tell you about your building. And when we see that data, we're able to make informed decisions. And in Livonia, for example, the district we were just talking about, we were able to eliminate 60% of their original capacity that they had. They didn't need it, they didn't use it, it was just there and they had to maintain it. So they were able to do 34 buildings and reduce their installed capacity by about 60%, both on the boiler side and the pumping side, because they had data. When you have data, you can make better decisions. And that same holds true. We see a lot of churches that have data, maybe not as exact as what we got out of the schools, but through your utility bills or through your equipment that have diagnostic skill sets, or if you do have a building management system, we can see how much things are running. We can see how they're being operated, and we can help you with making a better decision. Because just swapping a new box for an old box doesn't always solve your problem. In fact, it could actually complicate your life. If you deal with generations of computer software or anything else that's got, new generation, next generation stuff on it, it's not like the old one and you don't know how to function with it and coexist with it. So it can be a challenge, but we've learned to help people embrace technology and to understand it, but not let it rule their life. Just let it be something that they have as a tool in a toolbox. So through this data, you can make better decisions, and even if it's only your utility bills, you can still make better decisions than you would from just swapping boxes. In the needs category, there's a few things you can't do without. You got to have heat, you got to have water and plumbing, definitely need a roof. And ventilation is not a luxury, but sometimes it's forgotten about because that costs energy, and energy costs may not be something you're able to afford at the moment. But ventilation is essential for the life of the building and for your population inside the building. That's the must-haves. And on the want-to-have, ventilation shows up again because that's that same thing. We need it. We may not use it because we're struggling. We might want new windows because our windows are ancient, but some of those ancient windows are so beautiful. They're stained glass, they're whatever, or just architecturally very beautiful, but they're not highly functional. Those are a nice thing to want to have, better windows so you don't have as much infiltration or energy loss. If your church was built prior to having air conditioning, that can be a game changer for you too. You want to add comfort so you can do things during the summer months when it's hot and sweltering out there. New lights, those are one of the easy ones to do. In some cases, just depends on what kind of lighting you're looking at, but generally new lights are exponentially the best investment you can make in a building because the cost to payback ratio is pretty direct and pretty quick relative to other things on your to-do list. And then of course there's that, we really want to have this nice sound system because we got some great musical talent. And I know in our church, we've got phenomenal musical talent across the spectrum, and we invest in that sound and the PA and the streaming service, because that is our message right now. Is you don't have to be here to be here. You can be experiencing it. So having a nice soundboard and a nice set of facilities to make that happen is a way of multiplying your reach without being inside the building. So those are things we hear, and definitely they're necessary, but some are a little further down the to-do list than what you have on the left here, the must-haves. So we get that. There are a lot of people out there that are willing to help. And, I was attracted to, working with this particular organization because I believe in helping people that need help and helping them to do things creatively versus just, being told by a contractor, this is what you have to do, when there might be more options on the table. And so if you get involved with a trade group like this, you can have your utility audit done. There's a lot of those that are done at low cost and no cost. Or get an industry professional that you retain to have them give you a full assessment, and then come up with your priorities and what's the highest need, what's the best reach, and then what's on that want list. You create that, and then you can go to your congregation with a mission saying, this is where we are, these are the things we have to do, these are the things we'd like to do, and these are the things we really, really want, but we know we don't have the money for it, but we could set up a fund for that. So it's a question of prioritizing and recognizing where the biggest impact is going to be. way back in 2010, which seems like a long time ago, we did 50 audits for DTE, and it were in combination with MyPole. And we did 50 houses of worship and made recommendations and suggestions. And we haven't followed up on this one since probably 2017 to see what had happened that we knew of. We found though that some of the low hanging fruit, like putting a controller on your boiler to react outdoor temperature or staging control, which are typically fairly low cost, there was good action, good uptake on that. Boiler replacement, you know, it happened at a decent rate, and it's still ongoing because people sometimes want to wait till they got their last hurrah out of that appliance, or there's a catastrophic failure. And you know, as long as it happens during a time where you can get it done, or right now with lead times being extended because of all the COVID carryover, suppliers are still not back to normal with delivery, so you can't always count on an immediate replacement when you have something happening like that. I know some of the facilities we've been at have been struggling with that because they're steam and they're old, and a steam boiler right now is 52 weeks, and it's hard to say that just come back next year, we'll have heat, hopefully. So this is a project that we did in 2019, and it's you know, medium-sized building, 45,000. It's not gigantic, but it's not small by any stretch. And they originally had steam heat, and it was converted over to hot water in the 60s. And we got involved in 2019. We figured that building's almost, that boiler that was hot water was 60 years old. So it was time to move on from there. And they had a budget, and they wanted high efficiency. And even though their efficiency was low, their gas bill was not gigantic. It was only 40,000. It was just about $1 a square foot. And there's a lot that goes on in this facility. There's not just the worship services, but there's other things. And it's a typical old church with the high ceilings and lots of stained glass and a very beautiful building. And we went in with the approach that will help you with some right sizing, will help you discern what your actual capacity needs to be, because the boilers that got put in back in the 60s were done by the old rules of thumb. And now we have some data and some intelligence, we were able to make better decisions. And they went with a high efficiency program. They had an engineer from out of state that worked on it. And we collaborated with her, and she, you know, agreed with our assessments that we could downsize things, and we wanted to do some other things to help with distribution of energy to make it more efficient, less costly, and then just increase the resiliency of their system. They didn't want to get into a fragile situation where they were worried whether their boiler or boilers were going to be online and available. So we added in a remote monitoring system that was very simple, just a wireless input that it can be monitored remotely from our service point, from the manufacturer, from anybody in the facilities team that has access, and they can make adjustments if things are going sideways on a particular day. And it's been a very, you know, easy relationship because there really wasn't a whole lot that was that complicated other than sorting out what went where. And in addition to the gas savings we got some nice electrical savings because we reviewed their pumping scheme and reduced their electrical demand on the pumping and distribution of the heated water going around the building. So it's a case where they had a budget, they had set aside funds, and they had a mission, and we helped them execute it. It's nice when you can get into that situation as opposed to walking in and late in the season and there's a failure and you've got to try to help people and make decisions that maybe aren't the best because you're under duress and getting your building back up and saving your building. So there was the before pictures. You know, we see all these pumps and just lots and lots of capacity, and most of those pumps were substantially too large, and we helped them revise that. And that was a big part of our electrical savings, which we didn't know how to quantify that. We didn't have before data, but we know that we reduced the horsepower by about almost 40%. That's a good indicator of that the electric bill would go down proportionately. So another one that we recently got involved with, and this came through us through MyPole, an ancient church, not ancient, but it's old. It was 60+ years old. And original windows, original roof, a lot of things that were hanging on. And the boiler plant was actually built into the basement, and it was a 2-story tall boiler plant. And they had solicited a lot of people to go out and look at that boiler plant and try to figure out what to do with it. And the demolition cost was going to be substantial because it's 2-story, it's made out of brick and steel and big massive beast down there. And the building's not that big. I mean, it's 40,000 square feet, but it's not that big. And the boiler seemed to be excessive for that building. Compounding that was there was no central cooling, and with their original stained glass windows and their roof, they were not able to have weddings in the summer because it was too hot. And that was basically anything before 11 o'clock you could get a service in, but you couldn't after that, just because of the conditions there. Their gas bill was not horrendous because they had a good maintenance crew that, set back thermostats, did everything they could on the operations side, but you're still working with a beast from the 50s and 60s. So the electric bill was almost on par with the gas cost. And when we were doing our tour there, we kept hearing, we really don't have any cooling. We'd like to have cooling so we could actually have church in the summertime and have weddings here and events in the summertime. And we kept hearing that, but the budget was, we don't have enough budget to do the boiler, let alone to get cooling. And so we kept hearing that, and we'd have thought, well, let's go outside the box a little bit. Let's try some different technology that might help with helping you achieve both. And this was their list based on Energy Sciences, their assessments of what measures could be done. And you see the new boiler system had a 91 years to payback. Well, that was almost the lowest of all of the things they could do in terms of payback years, because they don't use a lot of energy, and the cost was estimated to be $300,000. So it's on the expensive side, but one of the quickest paybacks because of the fact that everything was taking so long. And you can see replacing windows and that kind of stuff, it's astronomically expensive and can have really long payback. You see the roof upgrade was 215 years. So there's just a lot of ways that you can improve your building, but you can see that it's hard to make it on an economic basis directly because of the ROI that people want to see. They talk about a 2-year payback or a 5-year payback or a 10-year payback. And with low usage and low utility bills, and at that time, relatively low natural gas prices, it made a difficult decision as to which to do. But they knew they could not run their building without a boiler system because that's how they get the whole building heated. So they made the jump to say, let's get our boiler system replaced. And they wanted to do a creative twist and try something more than just a high efficiency boiler and avoid demolition. So what we did was they explored using PACE. They had planned on doing 2 phases of construction. One was to do the boiler first, and then to work on the newer parts of the church where they had offices and whatnot, and they had some other accessory services that they were doing there. And we determined that gas heat pumps, natural gas heat pumps, could provide both heating and cooling from natural gas. And we'd put an auxiliary boiler there to boost the temperature for the really cold periods of January, February, we could boost it. And they revised the other areas of the building to be more accessible, as well as changing over the HVAC systems in that section of the building. And the challenge was, that demolition of the original boiler and the space that a new boiler would typically occupy was going to be a big chunk of that bill. And through the use of heat pumps, we avoided that. We were able to just leave that boiler in place, and it's just sitting there supporting the building. And instead, we put bank of heat pumps on the north end of their building where they don't really have any outside views that generate hot water year round or cold water in the summertime. And there's a little boiler to boost it at the extremes So we have a combined system in phase one. And what they found out was the cooling was extremely effective. And they don't think they need to do a phase two on the cooling unless they expand the building, which they really don't have that option because they're landlocked. But they did do the continuation of the newer part of the facility to increase accessibility and revise some of the other systems that are not attached to the boiler system. And what they found was they are able to have August weddings and Saturday afternoon at 5 o'clock, and it could be hot and steamy outside, but their church is comfortable. And they're using demand control ventilation so that as you increase the size of your crowd, your ventilation rate will increase because of indexing off of CO2. And this is an expensive upgrade. I don't think it was full 300,000, but it was a way that they got 2 for 1. They got the cooling that they were seeking, and they got a boiler replacement without doing the demo. That's where the creativity came in. And at the end of the day, there's some learning curve for the facilities director there and how to manage temperatures. But we went through the polar vortexes a few times, and this is on finishing up year 2, I guess. And they've been back to full occupancy, and it's been running fine. So with that, this sort of gives you a summation of some of the things that we're capable of doing, and we think differently. We help you use your data to make better decisions. We don't come in with pre-assumed ideas that we have a solution for you. We have the need to interface with you and get access and to your areas and your data, but we help you with that access and that data to know what you really truly need to get to. So, and I see Sonia just joined us. Are you on? Maybe not. Anyways, we did work on a church project with Sonia as well. That's another one that was downtown, and it was a struggle because they flooded, and they've had near boilers that were near failing, just like this church, and they made some good decisions based on different data than what everybody else was looking at. So with that, I'm at the end, I believe. Any questions?
Ellen, could you share changes that you've seen? Are there anything special that's like in the last 10 years or so that it didn't, like either in practices or in technology, that has been where you're now recommending things or doing things differently than you might have before?
Well, in the last 10 years, we've gotten better at the dissection of utility data and applying those metrics to how we approach a solution. As I said with Livonia, they had put in full BMS in their systems, but they hadn't upgraded anything except to get BMS data. And with that data, they were amazed as how much of their facilities were not being, or I should say not just their facilities, but their infrastructure was not being needed. And that helped them to obtain the right size, and they were able to do a lot more with a lot less. And I think the same holds true for a lot of houses of worship. You see these big behemoth systems that are built for something, but what you don't realize when you get into this kind of arena where you're dealing with large populations, when you get to that polar vortex day where it's -10 outside and it's howling and it's snowing, your building heat is done by your congregation. If they're there and in person, they're adding more heat. And we've seen through some of our trending with theaters or places of assembly that once that place gets populated, you're almost going to go to cooling. You just run full ventilation because everybody's 420 BTUs an hour sitting in that seat. And that can be a significant contribution to your heating load. And you want to be able to respect that and be able to tone down how much heat you're adding. So.
Ellen, this is Warren Tursky. I want to say hello, first of all.
Hey, how are you?
Very good. We got our heating system put in, and it's operating, and We ended up being able to get a cooling system too, but I want to thank you for all the consultation you gave us. And we came up with a good design. The heat pumps, didn't work quite for us, but they're a great system, obviously.
Right.
But appreciated all that you taught us. Thank you.
Well, appreciate the opportunity to share. We do that because we want to see people make better decisions versus being forced into, this is what I've always had, this must be what I need. And you went from steam to something else. So
Hot water, right.
yes, you went to hot water. So that's a decision that got made that helped make that decision go a lot better. And it costs a little more when you have to do that, but at the end, you're ahead. You got
Right.
less head.
At least we had an informed decision and we know what we were doing based upon data.
Yeah, and that's kind of the key to the game here is getting the data so you can make a better decision as opposed to being shoeboxed into what you've always had, just a newer version. And that's kind of why we do what we do.
Right. Thank you very much. Very
Appreciate
good
it.
presentation.
Thank you. Anything else? Sonia, you got something to say? Your hand's up.
Yes, yes. I was just going to say one hello. I was late. I was judging the science fair today, but I did just want to add to, I don't know if you talked about the project that you did at Plymouth United Church, my church, but I just wanted to let people know that, yeah, what Alan said about looking at the data and the importance of reviewing that data and how that data can help you make better informed decisions. We cut the size of our boilers by 50%, right? We cut them in half. They're operating much more efficiently now because we were able to look at that data and see really what we needed versus just putting back what had been there in the past. And we're very happy with that. And I will say that Alan brings to the table just a wealth of information and knowledge and understanding of HVAC systems, heating systems in particular. And one of the suggestions that he had that our church did not take was looking at heat pump technology and gas absorption technology to combine heating and cooling opportunities. And didn't take that piece of advice, and we're kind of kicking ourselves now because now we're in need of some cooling equipment. So I would just say, again, just reach out to as many resources as you possibly can. Take a look at the data and go where the data leads you. Go where the data leads you.
I appreciate that. That's exactly what I've been doing. And people will tell me they want to do something in particular, but if I can't find data to support their decision, I'm going to say, you be on your own. I can't help you with that. I don't want to be part of something that I'm not sure is going to work. I'm willing to take risks if you want to take a risk, but I'm not also going to steer you down something because you think that's what you need if the data doesn't support it. And in your case, your situation, you made the best decision with what you had for resources, and heat pumps would have been another step up. We looked at both electric and gas heat pumps, and it was not a cost. It was not a cost benefit for you based on your utility loads. It was going to be a very long payback. So.
Yeah, I have a question. As Sonia said, and Alan, you said about exploring innovative approaches to combining heating and cooling opportunities through heat pumps. That's really fantastic. Thank you for sharing about that. We're in the early stages of assisting houses of worship in exploring electrification as a means of being able to be unreliant, not having to rely on fossil fuels for heating, whether that be the furnace or the hot water heater. And I just wanted to know your thoughts as to, with the house of worship projects that you've been involved in, or ones that you might conceive of in the future, could there be a way that would ever pencil out for a house of worship in the short term where you could see that makes sense? I saw on your list some like 200-year payback, and I'm just I'm thinking, yeah.
Right.
Go ahead.
The electrification of everything is ideal, and there's a lot of things that go into that discussion. In particular, if you just ignore cost of fuel, if cost of fuel was neutral, and it's not, electricity is much more expensive than natural gas. you have to look at where your electricity is coming from. And I was exposed to a website from a company that makes natural gas engine generators, Chill. And there's some installations here around in Wayne State and other places that where they use natural gas to drive a car engine to run a generator. And you think, well, that's kind of weird. Why would you do that? Well, if you got high cost of electricity, which we are relatively expensive electric here in Detroit, and our gas is fairly cheap because we're one of the few places in the world you can put it back in the ground and store it to when you need it. So you get to buy gas when it's on sale. You look at that, and when you look at where did we get our electricity from, we have a good chunk of it coming from coal, but that's being winnowed down. The next segment comes from natural gas. That's the next biggest segment. Our renewable portfolio is growing a little bit, but it's still got a ways to go before it's going to be the dominant piece, even with all the stuff that we're building. The question is, what makes sense for one place may not make sense for another. And when you get this edict that you have to do everything by electricity, think about it. How many of you went out of power because of the ice storms the last 2 weeks? You know, and how long were you out? And how long were you inconvenienced? Businesses went down. Our business went down. It happened to happen on Friday night at 5 o'clock, and by Sunday night at 5 o'clock it was back on, so we didn't miss much. But when you start losing usage of your facilities, that gets to be frustrating. And the other side of that is when you're using natural gas to make electricity and pushing it down the wire, I, in my mind, feel like if I'm using that natural gas right at my site, I don't have those transmission losses. My emissions are going to be, better because I'm not dealing with those losses. So I offset some of that through the use of direct natural gas at my facility. Where I was going with this natural gas generator, there's a website out there that will tell you where your power is coming from at any given moment. And we pulled up some sites that were on the East Coast and some sites that were around here. And they tell you what's coming out of renewables, what's coming out of coal, what's coming out of natural gas. In the renewable segment, it was very interesting. We have wind and solar, hydroelectric. Now, not a whole lot of hydro in Michigan, but the wind and solar is something we do have. But then there's this other category in renewables. Now, the other would have been the Detroit incinerator. We burn trash. We burn wood. We make our own, energy from our waste. Well, that got shut down for why? Because it was not very environmentally friendly. And we're not getting that full value. When you look at that category, thinking renewables, you're thinking you're dealing with solar and wind and hydro. But that at the point when we were looking at it, it was the biggest supplier. It was 60% was coming out of wood and trash. I thought, well, that's not good because we're burning trash and wood, and we could be burning natural gas to get better efficiencies. So there's a lot of information that needs to be clarified and purified so that you can actually make the right decision. And again, that's a moving target. It comes down to how much demand is there and what plants are online and able to run. So I'm still a fan of natural gas in the capacity where we're using it, but using less of it by doing things to make your efficiency better. Because if I take and put electric heat pumps everywhere, and I'm getting my power supply from somebody who's burning 30% trash and wood, I don't know how much I'm affecting it, how much I'm improving the environment, because it's not really a renewable. I'm still emitting those emissions. I'd rather be burning natural gas, which is cleaner, and using less quantities of it. So that's my opinion on it. But there's a lot of opinions out there. That just happens to be mine.
Thank you.
Anything else? Well, I appreciate the opportunity to share with you. If you'd like to engage and talk about things at your own particular level, or just on a project, or just different philosophies, I'm available. Pretty accessible and willing to talk. I'm going to stop the share and we'll get it back to you.
Hey, Alan, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, I just
can
want
hear
to say thank you. Sorry, I was muted earlier. Thank you. You're just a wealth of information, and thank you mostly for working with people honestly, because That's just fantastic. Instead of just trying to sell a product to somebody, you really care to make sure that it's going to be right. So thank you for that, and thanks for joining us.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Jennifer, do you want to get into the updates?
Yes, thank you, Sonia. I agree. Thank you so much. Yeah. And yeah, I hope you all are thinking about that, because like Alan said, if your boiler fails or if something else fails, there are long lead times for product replacement. And if you wanted to switch to electrify or anything or heat pumps, you kind of have to have advanced planning, because otherwise when things fail, you need a plan. You need a plan for when things fail anyway. So it's something for us all to think about. So I appreciate that. Yes, I can share my screen with the agenda, except it's telling me I'm not the host, so I'm not able to, Connie, right now. I don't have to share my screen actually. For what we're doing is we're just giving reports from the participants.
Yeah.
Reports.
I can share mine if you want to give me
You
a
know
minute.
what? I don't think we even need it though.
Don't need it. Okay. All right. Sounds
We're
good.
really just, I can drop a link in the chat to the agenda, but essentially we're just wanted to give an opportunity for you all to briefly update us on your progress, challenges, or lessons learned along your journey that could be helpful for your peers in this House of Worship treasure hunt to hear about, and or your ambassadors who are joining us. So is there anyone who would like to jump in and just give a quick update?
Sure, I'll give an update. We have had some good input and good expertise on lighting from 2 or 3 different sources. And we found we have globes in our main sanctuary, and they had 2,000 lumen bulbs, LEDs, but and we like the 2700K warm lights. And we've just found a new product with 4,000 lumens. So we've actually going to be able to double the lighting in the main sanctuary with just changing some bulbs. So it's that's really been going to be a very positive impact. And then we got about 8 spotlights, and we were actually able to change those to LEDs, which will also lighten the load. And the other, we have a chandelier that has 48 bulbs in them, and we needed to use the incandescent bulbs because of the warmth they go against the crystal. And we found now some LED 60-watt equivalent candelabra bulbs that we're going to try. So those are not in yet, but we've ordered them. So it's been, I think we're going to maybe a sort of lighting is one of the easiest way to get a payoff and the least expensive. So that's our journey right now. So we've got some great expert to help, and so that's our focus for right now. And then we do also remember Ryan Day, who spoke with us. We bought, I think I mentioned this before, about 20 bulb LED tubes from him, and they're great. That's all I got.
Wow, awesome.
That's good. Good update.
Well,
Thank you.
as far as Lord of Lords, we finally got an appointment with DTE this Friday to give us our energy assessment. So I'm looking forward to that. It's been an uphill battle, but we're finally going to have that assessment done. So I should have a lot more information after they do their assessment.
Wonderful.
I'll go with St. Peter's. I gotta confess, this last month has been more, I don't know, treading. I've been feeling more like the building maintenance guy than the energy manager guy. And it's because actually I have to do double or triple duty, dealing with a steam leak and a broken thermostat and some other problems that were just like, faucets not working and things like that. But because we're planning this upgrade to our parking lot, I suddenly got down this rabbit hole of outdoor lighting, and turned out that, yeah, there's a lot more to learn, and I'm still learning. But the thing that I wanted to share with you all in terms of outdoor lighting that surprised me, that I knew about high efficiency, of course. I knew about the importance of downlighting, and have been researching that more to try to make sure that we comply with any downlighting to try to reduce light pollution. What I didn't know, that I'm still learning about, is that light with that blue highlight, light intensity, the blue white light that we're used to, I think a lot of times with LEDs, actually can be detrimental to birds and moths and insects. Really confuses them and makes them congregate around those lights. And going to a warmer, something lower on the color scale, actually is much more environmentally, from the standpoint of the more than human that we share with the rest of the world, the other beings. And California actually has had to change some of their lighting standards, because they found out that blue-white light in parking lots and things like that along near the ocean was confusing turtles, where they couldn't even find the darn ocean, because the lighting was just the light output was throwing them off their natural compass. So it's been interesting, and I'm still learning. So yeah,
Please
that's a
continue to share
combination
about
of new and old.
Awesome. That's really interesting to learn about. Thank you. Sonia.
Thank you. Yeah, actually, that's very interesting to hear about the lighting. My preference has always been for the warmer lighting anyway, so now this is just further justification that yes, that's a better way to go. But I just wanted to update for Plymouth United Church of Christ. We finally do have, I think, all of our ducks in a row as far as getting our data auto imported, being able to participate in the DTE hub. Hopefully that will be finalized within this week, and we will be able to move forward and participate more fully.
Great.
That's our update. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we've got it. I think that was everyone who's on the call. Yeah, so I think we can move to the next part of the agenda, Connie, unless you had anything. Okay, I can't hear you if you're talking, but okay.
No, I do not have anything else.
Oh, okay, super. Okay. So Connie suggested that we just go ahead and start talking about our celebration gathering. We do this every treasure hunt to celebrate you all and to give you the opportunity to share about your accomplishments, your challenges encountered along the way with your peers in this treasure hunt challenge. So it's informal gathering at one of the participating houses of worship. Same time, 11:30 to 1, it will be a lunch that will be included in it. Connie, tell me if I'm wrong. But,
No, you're right. I'm just looking up so I have the date ready.
Yes,
you
so
get
we selected, and we gave this date in at the outset of the program, but we're thinking Wednesday, May 24th. So that's not our regular. Our regular is every third Tuesday. That would be the fourth Tuesday of May, but
or Wednesday.
Wednesday, I meant to say the fourth Wednesday of May. But yeah, that's what we're proposing. Go ahead.
Do you remember why we didn't go with the 17th? Maybe we thought we were going to have one more of these. I can't, maybe you just left it open for that.
I don't know why. I don't know why. Yeah.
Why we did that. Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, it can be the
you-
17th or the 24th at this point. Yeah.
17th or the 24th. So, but we wanted to open this up to you all to ask, would any of you want or be willing to host us at your house, your respective place of faith, and you know, just provide the venue
Yeah.
for houses of worship to come share their stories. Give a brief presentation update at the end of the program.
And it won't cost you anything. We will have the food and drink, you know, light lunch and drink. And last year we recorded everybody's, I believe we recorded everybody's summary. You don't have to give one. It can be very informal, or you can do a full presentation. So last year we had probably about 20 people there, and it was just really fun. Took a lot of pictures. It's really helpful for future funding as we go for funding to continue this program. So as Jennifer said, if anybody, you don't have to answer right now, but shoot her or myself an email and let us know that you might be interested in hosting about 20 people and during lunchtime. And we can land on the 17th or the 24th, I guess, whatever's better.
Yeah.
If not, we will have to be creative.
Oh, no worries. She actually answered my question. I was going to ask about how many people would
Okay.
be there. So yeah. Okay, thank you.
20 would probably be the high end, so it's all of us. But, you know, if you're coming from your congregation, you can also bring somebody else with you. So sometimes, you know, 2 or 3 people might come from a congregation. So that's why it might get up a little bit more, to closer to 20, depending.
Okay. I would did, but I need to obviously double check with some people to see, you know, availability and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just throwing my hat in the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this,
Okay,
you
yeah.
can use Lord of Lords if there's no other venue.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you, Sonia and Pastor Glass, for offering to host.
Thank you
Yes,
so much. We appreciate that.
Yep. So yeah, Sonia, if you want to check and get back with us, then we'll wait to hear from you.
Yep, no worries. I will try to get back to you as quickly as I can.
Sure.
And that way, if we can't use Plymouth, we can use Lord of Lords.
Okay, super.
I've been
That's
wanting to
great.
visit there anyway and see those parking lot lights.
I know, right?
Really.
All right, they still hanging.
All right, all right.
And Pastor Glass, on the lights, I know Bob was talking about, he's looking at that for St. Peter's. Would you recommend what you had installed, or what have you seen are the benefits or drawbacks of that?
Yeah, but what I've learned from the experience is that shop around. You have, you know, different models and different capacities. But they work good for us. But I would suggest shop around, get 2 or 3 different contractors.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
That late May time is exactly when the parking lot is going to be torn up. So I'd like to throw my hat in 1 year early for next year, and we'll have a lot of other, it'll be an environmentally sound parking lot that people can park in, and a
Yeah,
lot of other stuff going on.
right.
Pastor
Okay.
Glass, did Toggles come out at all? Did the company Toggles come out to Lord of Lords?
No, not yet. Is that from Michigan University?
No, it was one of our speakers on lighting that we had here, one of our members that does a lot of houses of worship. So I couldn't remember if they had been out at your place.
No, they haven't.
Okay.
By the way, back to the
Oh.
previous subject, the parking lot, can you give us 1 minute, and what are you making it out of that makes it environmentally friendly? We've been interested in that, but haven't taken any action yet.
Sure. What we're doing is putting in what's called bioswales on 3 of the sides of the lot, and the parking lot is going to be sloped to go into so that they'll go into bioswales, are basically sort of shallow ditches with native plantings. And the stormwater runoff from the parking lot will go into those. Then there's a PVC pipe that's at the bottom of that, that the water, some of the water will drain into that and eventually get over to the storm sewer, but it's way slowed down. And so you don't get that stormwater surge that you would get. And and some of the water just evaporates. It doesn't ever even get to the storm sewer. And with Detroit having a combined storm stormwater and sewage system, it's been a real problem. So we've confirmed with the city too, that by doing this, we won't be getting that. It'll be the equivalent as if they were permeable pavers. I mean, it's like we'll be getting those stormwater credits so that our water bill will be reduced. And also environmentally, it's just going to be aesthetically, it's going to look a lot nicer. And there's finally going to be some green in a area that is increasingly concrete and
Oh,
brick.
very interesting, very interesting. Thank you.
So, yeah, it's taking care of, you know, reducing the water bill, making it aesthetically look nicer and being environmentally more sensitive. It costs us a few parking places to do it, but it was, well, for us, it was important and not a problem. Permeable pavers is another whole subject for another time, but basically in Michigan with the freeze thaw cycles, and it's so expensive and maintenance is expensive that it turned out it just really wasn't a way that we could go at this time. But that technology is changing, and I think that down the road that's where more places will be able to go.
Yeah, I know we looked at that and it was 4 or 5 times what it would be.
Mhm.
Permeable, yeah, but it is, but I'm glad to hear that it's getting, you know, the future looks good for that. So,
We've
Okay,
been involved with
thank
a
you.
few permeable projects. We do snow melting with whatever source of energy you want to use, and keeping the water going through the ground. The permeable, you can make a permeable patch almost, where you just have a block of pavers and you keep them to where they are going to go in communication with the groundwater, not directly into the storm sewer. And by keeping a heating pad underneath it that activates when you have a snow event or you're piling snow on, it can be a way of mitigating. Because I know some of those churches that have large parking lots are struggling with stormwater runoff. In fact, I think the Detroit Public Schools told me their #1 utility cost is stormwater.
Wow.
You get no benefit. You get no benefit from stormwater. You get a big bill for the privilege of having roofs and parking lots. And so there's a lot of ways to get creative in reducing that cost. And you're mentioning one. And if you had a permeable patch that where your snowplow contractor would push the snow onto the patch and you could melt it, it's not running off. You get a partial credit anyways.
Interesting.
How does that work, Alan, with the heating a sidewalk without having to run electricity through it?
Well, you can do hot water. We do hot water, and we can get that hot water from electric, from natural gas, from whatever source you've got. You
Okay.
could do it with straight on full electric cable, and that's another choice.
Yeah.
So it just comes down to having a system that's dedicated to concentrate your waste snow, if you will, the stuff that you're going to push out of your way, and letting it melt over a period of days, as opposed to instantaneously running off, and then it's going to go back into the ground.
Okay. From a safety standpoint, it seems like that could be useful too for mitigating ice.
Right. It also helps you with getting rid of that wintertime cost of stormwater runoff. You can get a credit. I think you can get a credit for that. They've told us that, but it has to be year-round permeable. So that piece of patch that you're putting together is a year-round credit, but you would get your full credit if you push your snow over there.
Oh, you'd have to push the snow on top to get the full credit. Okay.
Well, you could, as opposed to doing your whole parking lot with either
Yeah.
concrete and embedded tubing, You
Yes,
need permeable paving to make the credit happen, so.
I see. Okay, got it. So it could be like a parking space or two where all the snow gets piled
Right,
in the lot, which you would do anyway when you're trying to clear the lot.
right. So you just make that patch active and you can make your stormwater issue a little bit less.
Got it. Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Cool. We just had a few brief announcements. I hope Connie, you can still hear us on the phone. I'm not sure if you can.
I can.
Okay,
I lost
super.
lost the internet again.
Okay, no problem.
Sorry.
I just wanted to mention that one of the initiatives that Michigan Interfaith Power and Light is involved in forming is called Solar Faithful. This is a group that has initially formed out of Ann Arbor Houses of Worship, but it's grown much larger than that. And the mission is to increase solar access among faith-based organizations, in particular among low-income and faith communities of color. And we are having a webinar tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the evening. And I just wanted to extend that invitation to you. It's kind of like an overview of what this initiative is, and it's a opportunity to ask questions. And we will be recording it. So if you're not able to make it, but if you would like a link to the recording, I would be happy to share that as well. But I just wanted to extend that invitation to you all. Diane Cheklich with D2 Solar, who was on our meeting, the meeting before last, I believe. She did reference this, and she's on the board of directors. She's one of the founding members of this. Bob also, Bob Chapman, who's here, he helped us get going when Michigan IPL was initially approached about partnering in this initiative several years ago. So anyway, just an update on that. Pastor Glass, I know you're already participating in a really exciting other solar initiative called Solar Solidarity, which you know more about than I do, but that's
Yeah.
exciting.
We've had a few meetings and things are opening up real well. And so
Yeah,
I believe Diane will share tomorrow on some of that initiative that we're doing.
yes, okay, that would be great. I'm just trying to find that link, and I'm going to drop that link in the chat for anyone who's interested. If you register, you will definitely receive that link to the recording once we have that. So I'm just dropping that in. And then other than that, we just wanted to open it up for others to make announcements or ask questions or voice concerns or share successes, anything that you would like to share about now.
Well, I would just like to say we're updated with the portfolio, and I'm learning more about the portfolio, but it's good to feel the accomplishments, the success from the last year to this year. I know more about it. Bob has been really good in helping me to get to this point. Our church get to this point where we can now we know how much energy we're using. Now we know what we can do, and so we're planning. We're in a planning stage to make a big transition with our building. So I'm just encouraged and excited about what's going on.
That's fantastic. Awesome.
Wow, that's great. Love to hear that. Sorry, didn't mean to butt in,
And
Jennifer.
please do share. Please, get back with us after that DTE assessment. Let us know if you got any free stuff. If you didn't, was it helpful as far as their recommendations and whatever, if they give you a report, make sure you share that with your ambassador from Detroit 2030 so that we can work with you on, developing a plan around that.
I sure will. Thanks a million.
Yeah.
This is Warren Tursky, how do you actually contact DTE to get the assessment scheduled?
So
You said, go ahead, Ken.
no, that was the challenge, right? Apparently.
Yeah, that's what I was in. That's
No,
what I was
so-
saying.
What
Yeah,
I
I'd like-
learned with Pastor Glass's trials and tribulations is that because of the storm and all the power outages, they just were shutting down all of the programs. So if you had called, you might not have got a call back, but thanks to Pastor Glass's persistence, he's now got it scheduled. Hopefully they're out of that phase. But yes, there is an 800 number, and there's also a link on to their website online where you could just go and schedule yourself. What it is called Business Energy Consultation. It is free to any house of worship. You can get free stuff like programmable thermostats, low flow faucet aerators, and LED lights. And that really is a great step to take just to see what free stuff you qualify for. But in addition to that, they will provide you with a list of recommendations as far as their assessment. And it's very high level as far as ASHRAE is considered. I'm not even sure if it's considered a level 1 ASHRAE audit, but it is a beginning step and it's free, and it is an offering of your utility.
So
So
now you call DTE, or there's?
you call DTE. I will drop a link to that number in the chat.
Okay,
Yes,
Excuse me, Jennifer, are you talking about the DTE assessment?
yes.
Kendall can help you set that up. She can make the calls for you and connect.
There you go.
okay, very good.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
so just shoot her an email, say you would like
Yeah.
to sign up for a DTE assessment, and she'll be happy to get that set up for
Okay.
you.
We'll wait till after Easter now, but that's okay. But,
Okay.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Well, maybe I should do it now and then set it up for after Easter.
That's
Yeah.
what, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Get started. That's right.
Right.
Good
I
thought.
highly suggest it.
Okay, thanks. That's good. Okay, appreciate it.
Hey, I just have a quick question for everybody for our next meeting next month. It's going to be covering recycling, and it's such a important topic. And I was wondering if the group would mind if we extended our meeting out to other houses of worship in our program, just for this one meeting, so that if they really want to learn about recycling, it's Earth Month and close to Earth Day, and I just kind of thought we might open it up so we'd have some other guests, and it is our last one. Maybe they'd like to hear about what this program's about too. I don't think we'd get that many, but maybe 3 or 4, and just wondering if that is okay with everybody.
Okay with me.
Is there anybody who?
Sure, no,
Okay.
that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, great. Appreciate that.
And
Well, I
speaking
don't
of
have
that
anything
next
else.
meeting, I was just going to say the
What?
date is Wednesday, April 19th. That is our next meeting. So
Okay,
yeah, looking forward.
And I
to
think
seeing-
that's 3 days before Earth Day, right? Earth Day is the
Yes.
22nd. I
Yeah,
have that straight. Mhm.
yeah.
Good. Okay, well, if everybody's all set, I think we can close our meeting.
thank you very much.
Jennifer,
Thank
yeah. Thanks for joining everybody, and we'll see you next month.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you.